Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 40 of Sooner Girl Sports Pod. If you are listening on the audio, please know that on the video right now, I am doing a horns down and I'm wearing my Danny Stutzman shirt because that's my mood. Regardless of the outcome of this past weekend, it's horns down always. And it was not an ideal game, but we will get there to talk about that here shortly. But we are going to focus on the positives. And this week, our show guest, we're going to throw it back to the good days and we're going to talk about former football star, NFL player, wide receiver, Ryan Broyles. And I'm so excited for you guys to hear my interview with him on this week's episode. And I cannot believe that we've made it to episode 40 of the show. I'm just so thankful for each one of my listeners and supporters. It truly means more than you know. And I'd like to give a quick shout out to everyone that I met this past week for Beat Texas Week. I did follow the game ball with the OU Naval ROTC as they ran through Ardmore last Wednesday evening. I gathered a group together to cheer them on and meet with some of the runners. And I was able to track the ball all the way to the Cotton Bowl when it arrived on Friday. I had the local newspaper out. A couple of local news stations were there. And it was just such an awesome time to be able to give those runners a platform to share their stories and everything that they do and how they participate in this amazing tradition that's been going on for about 30 years. Just such a cool experience. And then on Friday, I was a part of the Beat Bevo Red River Bash in Marietta. And what an amazing time. I met so many amazing, great people there as well. Lots of fans headed down south, a lot of locals that came by just to say hello. And then, of course, the other vendors at the event. And I had several people who recognized me from the news, from the newspaper, from TikTok, from Twitter. So shout out to all of the people who came out and met me at both or either one of those events. It was so incredible to meet you guys. I, again, truly appreciate all of your support. And I'm looking forward to another 40 plus episodes and beyond of the show because I have a great lineup coming up for you later this fall. And even into early next year, I'm already starting to plan some things with our winter and spring diamond sports coming up. So you're going to want to stay tuned as we go through the next few months here at Sooner Girl Sports Pod. So before we get too far into it, we're going to launch into our injury segment with Dr. Jason Leinen. And again, I'm just so thankful for him giving part of his time each week to discuss the injuries on our roster and beyond. We talk, of course, again about Keontez Lewis and his quick return this past weekend. We talk a little bit of John Mateer and the mental aspect of his injury and then returning to play this past Saturday. We talked Derek Simmons, his knee, and the quick exit he had with the game. And again, Xavier Robinson, possible shoulder/rib cage injury. We're not quite sure what's going on with that. And then Kyler Murray, if you follow the NFL, our former Sooners, was injured, unfortunately, last Sunday during the game and did not play this past Sunday. And he has what they are saying a resemblance of a Lizfranc injury, which is a foot injury. And we talk a little bit about that and how that affects play, especially for a player like Kyler. So I hope you enjoy our injury segment with Dr. Jason Leinen. So that game was not good.
Not pretty. Yeah, not pretty, not good. It was, I think we got beaten all three phases of the game, really, unfortunately.
We absolutely did.
And I would have never suspected that, especially from the defense. I mean, I kind of expected it to maybe be a low-scoring game, maybe a 13-17 or something in there, but and Texas defense obviously was good, but our defense for some reason just couldn't get to the quarterback, and they were running more on us than a lot of teams. So I just don't know.
Yeah, we had the edge in a lot of categories on paper for sure.
Yeah,
But we just did not capitalize on that. And I felt like our punter, his punts weren't as far as they have been previously, which not that was a big catalyst in the game by any means, but I felt like he was off to some degree or whatever you want to call it. And then, of course, our special teams gave up that touchdown on that punt return. It was.
Yeah, with a couple of blocks in the back, but we'll let that slide.
I know. Yes. Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think I've heard people talking about that, of course, like, well, maybe that didn't necessarily make or break the game, but also I guess it could have to an extent. I mean, that was right out the gate after halftime. So I felt like we lost our momentum
Yeah, really
before
right before
half.
that. Yeah.
Yep, with all of that went on, and then we came back out, and that happened. And I feel like after that, it was just like we're at the bottom of the barrel doing this, trying
Yeah,
to get
it
back to the
was.
top, and it was just almost near impossible, given that we weren't showing any. I don't know, like that oomph wasn't
Yeah,
there.
we
Like
just
it
couldn't.
just.
I don't know. It was. I really think it almost goes back to that last minute before halftime,
Yes. Oh my
and
gosh. Yes.
I don't know what we did with clock management. We just totally threw that
We
away, and
did.
then all of a sudden we had 10 seconds left. So you got a one heave to the end zone, and then you think, oh well, maybe we'll get at least a field goal
We should
and
have.
intercepted. I mean, if we score a touchdown there, if we manage our time better, we get 3 or 4 plays instead of one play,
Yep.
and you score a touchdown. Well, you're up 13-3 going into half.
Very.
That's a big difference compared
Very big
to,
difference.
or yeah. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't know. Instead of 6-3, I mean, that's a big turnaround there. But
It is. And it's hard not to think, like, what if that would have happened? And what if those blocks in the back would have been called after half? I mean, it
yeah,
could have been a different ball game. But even at that point, well, I mean, I feel like first half, nobody felt like, oh, we're ahead, we're okay. It didn't even
yeah,
feel like that. Like it was just like we were lucky almost to have been
yeah. We
ahead,
just
and then
couldn't
we
get it
just
going.
blew it. We just
Yeah,
in a lot of different capacities. But yeah, we got to regroup. We don't have time to
yeah,
wallow in that sorrow for very long. We got to get on the road to South Carolina this weekend. So,
yeah.
and this
Got
will
a
be, in my opinion, the easiest game we have left,
easiest game
honestly.
left.
I
Yeah,
mean, I know it's
yeah,
on the road, but we really got to win it. I was looking
yeah,
yesterday. I saw, so we have 6 games left. 5 of those teams, which is all of them except for South Carolina, are in the top 16
yeah.
of the
Crazy.
rankings, and 2 of them are on the road. So
Yeah, not gonna
yeah,
be
we
easy.
we
Not
got
gonna
we
be
got our
easy.
work cut out for us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we need to win this one to get bowl eligible and maybe
Yes.
give us a little
Oh,
spark again. I mean,
yes.
if we can win and play well, and Mateer gets off the schneid or whatever happened in
Yeah.
that game, then maybe we'll be set up for a
I hope so.
better
I
run at the
feel
end here.
like, yeah, I feel like he made a mention that he was okay physically to play, ready physically, but maybe just not mentally. So I know
Yeah,
there's some sort of connection there. Obviously, he hasn't played in a
yeah,
couple of games, or a couple of weeks, hasn't practiced a ton. So I'm sure that
yeah,
throws off your momentum and everything. Of course, going into a game like this too is just not
yeah,
good timing necessarily for all that to happen. But then we lost Derek Simmons with the knee, and again we don't know a lot of details on that, and we've
yeah,
talked about knees before. But all that to say, like, that's a big loss for us because,
yeah,
oh gosh, the guy Luke Blank Klinkla or something, I
yeah. It's a
can't
weird
pronounce his
name.
name.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my apologies. But he come in and he's playing opposite side guard than what he's used to, which
Right.
I feel
Yeah.
like he did okay considering. But like, we don't have anybody else in that depth,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
the thing of I mean, when you come from obviously last year we struggled mightily at the line, and
yes,
then this year they looked a lot better, but that
yep,
just means you don't have much depth when you're bringing guys in and you're starting guys that didn't start last year,
yep,
and the guys you got left over maybe didn't do great last year. I mean, maybe they've
yeah.
improved, but if you're just not very strong or not very deep on that position, it makes it
Yeah,
tough.
we're in trouble. We've had a lot of loss in that capacity already, and
Yeah,
then, like I said, there's not a lot of depth left
yeah,
coming in. So I'm hoping that he's okay. I mean, he was limping off. It could literally be anything.
yeah,
So I haven't heard anything else. Hopefully, I mean, we should by the middle of the week, at least hear if he's going to play next weekend. Which I said last
yeah.
weekend I didn't think Keontez Lewis would play, and then the
I
kid
was
was out
shocked
there
that he
balling.
played. I
I
was
was
shocked that he
too.
played. Yeah,
But
yeah.
good for him.
So,
I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad he got to play. But yeah, I don't know what'll happen with Simmons, but I hope he's okay for us in the long term for sure, because we're going to need it. But yeah, with that knee, it could have been anything. I mean, he just kind of buckled there on that play.
yeah, he just kind of got rolled up, which, I mean, those big linemen, they do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why they
Yeah.
wear those big braces. I think we talked
Yeah.
about that a little bit, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's hard to know without, is it just a sprain? If he just sprained an MCL or just
Yeah.
sprained something in the knee, it may not be that big a deal.
Yeah.
obviously if he tore something more significant or a meniscus or something where he needs a, and who, again, speculating, but
who knows? We don't know
it could have
anything.
got anything from a sprain where he's just out for a week to,
Yeah.
A meniscus that they got to go in there surgically clean up and he's out 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it might be, or is it an ACL and he's done for the year? So it's just like you never know on these things, but
who
until
knows?
they
And
actually tell you. So
fingers
which they're
crossed
not
for
very
best.
good at.
Yeah, fingers crossed for best case scenario on him because
Yeah,
I mean, just again, don't ever want anybody hurt, but also, just we need him. We've had a lot
yeah,
of loss on that line, and then
for sure.
so Mateer's hand started bleeding at one point. To back up to that, I forgot about that. Did you notice that on the sideline?
Yeah, I did, and I was, of course, again, they didn't really. I
Yeah.
thought we actually were laughing. We kind of thought they obviously told the camera crew any chance you get, zoom in as
Oh,
far as possible on
absolutely.
Mateer's hand. Every other shot was a zoom shot of his
Yes.
hand for the first
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
But then they got them on the sideline. You're like, okay, yeah, he's bleeding, but you don't know if that was a surgical incision, just
Yeah.
break back open, or did he just get his hand jammed and it's up by the fingernail? Who knows?
Yeah.
Or
I
just
thought
get
that was
scraped and it's
crazy.
unrelated. But yeah, it
Yeah.
did look like it was bleeding for a minute.
It definitely did.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned to speak briefly on that mental side of things. I
Yeah.
mean, he kind of referenced, and maybe mental that he was referencing was more about he didn't have as much time to prepare for the defensive looks or for the offensive gameplay because he, only practiced maybe one live day, if any. I mean, really, I
Yeah.
think when they changed him to probable was what, Thursday. And so you
Thursday.
think, well, they're going to travel, so they're only going to get the walkthrough
Yep.
on Friday, so it's like
Yep.
he may not have done much practice at all.
No,
And
probably not.
obviously he knows the playbook and he's been studying that all year in the offseason and everything. I mean, he seems like an intelligent quarterback. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the other side, the mentally on these injuries, yeah, guys might feel physically fine. I mean, your thumb might not have pain and your grip might be good, but how much are you thinking about, oh, I got to protect this,
Yes.
or
Yes. That's a
I've
good
got
point.
to make sure that if I get tackled, I turn my hand out of the way real quick,
That's
or
so
if I
true.
make
My
this throw, I
gosh.
got to not follow through all the way because this guy's coming at me. It's like
That's so
you,
true.
and I think sometimes that's almost for these athletes, almost like a subconscious deal. It's like
Yeah.
your sort of innate senses take over and your body wants to protect itself, and
That
so
makes sense.
it might have just been one of those things that, yeah, he's a seems to be a mentally sharp guy, but as far as the football game, but
Yes.
trying to get over this kind of thing sometimes is a little tougher until you've had more time, more live action,
Yes.
whatever it might be, so that you trust yourself and
That's
you
so
trust your
true.
body that it is healed, and you're not in the back of your mind thinking, oh man, well, what happens if I get hit again? Or what happens
Yeah.
if I break this again? Or what happens if I
Yes.
have to have another surgery? It's kind of like
Yes. Yes.
all that, I'm sure, is running through his mind. So
That's
it's,
so true.
you don't really blame the guy for wanting to play in a rivalry and wanting to try to
Absolutely.
come back. But it's
Absolutely.
almost, you almost wonder maybe the coaches should have put their foot down and been like, hey, let's give it another week or two or
Yeah.
whatever. It's just kind of
I
like
know you.
it's a tough situation, I
It
think,
really
to
is. You
I'm
can't
sure
help
for
but
everyone
wonder.
involved. Yeah, I'm sure it was a
Yeah.
tough
I mean,
call.
like you
So
said, he wanted to play in that game. And I mean, everybody's been talking about it for 2 weeks. I mean,
yeah,
that's why you come to Oklahoma is to beat Texas and to play in that game. And especially him
exactly.
being from Texas, from the DFW area, like he wanted
Yeah.
that opportunity and that win and all of that. And I think I'm sure mentally was talking himself into it. Physically, he was
Hmm.
okay. And then, like you said, the reverse mental game started. I'd never really thought about that. But yeah, he's subconsciously, I'm sure, thinking, oh, I got to protect my hand because
Yeah.
I need it going forward. So yeah, my gosh. Well, and then he was seeing other people go down and he thought,
Right.
okay, well, I don't want to be the next one to go down. And
Yeah. Exactly.
because Simmons went down in the first half,
Hmm.
and then Xavier Robinson had that hit on shoulder or whatever that may have been.
Yeah, it looked like
Don't
he
know a
just took
lot
a
on
hard
that.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell. Yeah, was that going to be a rib deal? Is it going to be a
Yeah.
shoulder or a
Hmm.
collarbone? It's tough to say.
Yeah.
He
They
definitely
said
got hit pretty hard
shoulder, but
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all kind of right there. And with no additional information, we don't really know. But yeah, I think he was just like, oh, shoot, like they're taking a beating. Like I got to
Yeah.
protect myself where I'm already vulnerable. So yeah.
So
I
yeah,
can't
hopefully he
imagine.
can get through this week and have a good practice and maybe just be in a
Yes,
better place and
I hope so. We
get
really
back to
needed
what we
him.
saw the first 3 games or
Yes,
whatever. Yeah.
yes. Nobody I felt like was themselves. I mean, I think overall, and listening back, I listened to Gabe and Teddy talk about their defensive and offensive critiques of the game,
Yeah.
and they were both like, we feel like the defense played well enough to win. Now, at first, I didn't necessarily agree with that. But
Yeah.
then going back and listening to them break it down and talk about the different plays and the numbers and all that, I was like, well, I mean, there were some missed tackles. Don't get me wrong; they weren't up to
Yeah.
the par where they have been all season. But
Yeah.
for the most part, I feel like, yeah, you're right. We probably did it with our offense and even some special
Right.
team blunders that cost us the game.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate that. If we could have just maintained what we had been doing for the
Yeah.
previous 5 games, it would have been a different thing. But
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
nevertheless, let's regroup and move on down the
And move
road.
on. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mentioned to you about Kyler Murray. He actually got
Yes.
injured in last week's game. I forgot the opponent, but last week he went out with a foot injury. He was replaced by the backup, and he did not play this past Sunday,
Yeah.
and they just said he's out. They didn't say indefinitely. I can't remember the term they used, but like maybe one game at a time to
Yeah.
evaluate. And they compared it to the, is it Lizfranc? Is that how you say it? I don't know.
Lizfranc. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Kind of a
compared
French
it.
name.
Okay,
A
compared
French
it
name
to
injury.
that sort of injury, and so I, for one, well, of course, want Kyler to be healthy, and that kid has been through a lot. But
Yeah.
I am planning a trip to Phoenix
Oh wow. Okay.
next month, and so I'm highly intrigued as to what you have to say
Mm.
about that type of injury. And again, we don't have a ton of information on him either. I don't know if it's a fracture. I don't know if it's just like, they kept saying a foot strain, but it's
Okay.
similar to the Liz
Okay.
Frank. So
Yeah.
who the heck knows? I don't know
Yeah.
when their bye week is for the Cardinals. I have no idea. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the Liz Frank area ligament really is, in essence, is really kind of the main like stabilizing ligament of kind of
Okay.
that part of your foot. Basically,
Okay.
it's kind of the base of the like second and third toe, kind of like the ball of your foot, and
Oh,
then
okay.
little bit over
Okay.
toward the middle part of your foot,
Mm-hmm.
the base of those toe bones, and it's kind of an area that's there's ligaments involved. Sometimes if you get a fracture there, it'll still be termed a Lizfranc
Okay.
fracture. It's typically, I mean, you can get minor sprains from trip and fall kind of thing, but usually it's
Okay.
because of where it is, it takes a harder impact, a higher force,
Mm-hmm.
like a football tackle or like a car wreck. A lot of times it's hitting car
Okay.
wrecks or motorcycle wrecks when a guy's foot gets stuck or twisted awkwardly or
Oh,
that kind
okay.
of thing
Yeah.
with kind of a higher force because it's a pretty hefty ligament in through there, but it is kind of the main stabilizing ligament of kind of that mid part of your foot there.
Okay.
And so when it gets injured, you can't do that push off motion of your foot very well
Okay.
or
Yeah.
any kind of cutting that's just kind of unstable in there, and so it causes a lot of pain, causes a lot of weakness. So it sometimes takes a while to heal, unfortunately, because you just kind of got to let it. Now, if it's torn, it's a surgical thing, or
Yeah.
if there's any kind of fracture, or sometimes you can even dislocate that part of your foot.
Okay.
And so, obviously, if that happens, it's a surgical deal and a longer recovery.
Oh gosh.
But if it's a sprain, I mean, yeah, they'll keep them in a boot or keep them off of it for a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and just I mean, you just got to let it heal. And that's the problem with these foot injuries and these kind of athletes, especially for a guy that's used to running and cutting and
Yes.
doing all the dynamic stuff that we've seen
Mm-hmm.
Kyler do over the years.
Yeah.
Be different for just a straight drop back guy who never moves much,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But the guys that are trying to run and jump and do the dynamic stuff, it's a tough injury to kind of
Yeah.
get through sometimes. I mean, again, it all depends on how was it just a minor, more of a sprain, or did something
Mm-hmm.
partially tear, or is there more structural damage that they're going to have to do something more dramatic with? But
Oh man. Well, I hate
so it
that for
can, yeah,
him.
yeah, for sure, yeah, he's dealt with a lot, like you said, a lot of injuries through the years. It seems like I'm not sure when the last time he's played a whole season has been really.
Oh gosh.
It
I do
seems like
think
he's
he
always getting
played.
something.
I do think he played all of last season, I believe.
Did he? Okay,
It was
maybe so.
it was 2 seasons ago. He missed like the beginning of that season because he had gotten hurt on the back half of the previous one, I
Yeah.
believe. So yeah, it's just I feel bad for the guy. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's had a rough go, and yeah, this is my second time to try to go see Kyler actually, and that's why I kind
Okay.
of remember when his previous injury was,
Okay. Yeah.
and we were planning to go out there, and then yeah, anyway, OSU was playing out there at the beginning of the season a
Okay.
couple of
Yeah.
years ago. We're like, oh, we can do OSU
Try to
Saturday
get
at
both.
Arizona
Yeah, there
State,
you
I
go.
believe it
Yeah.
was, and do that. And then
Okay.
anyway, he was out. So yeah, that poor guy. I do believe he played all of last season. I mean, maybe there was something minor in there
Okay.
somewhere,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
wasn't
maybe so.
anything long term. But yeah, I really hope for his sake. I haven't seen him like I'm assuming he's in a boot. I haven't seen any photos or video of him. I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah, I
heard him
haven't either.
speak on it or anything. Last week, I know he talked after the game, in the post game, but again, at that point, he had just been pulled, probably x-rayed in the locker room, and they didn't figure out much until later on. But
Yeah.
anyway, well, okay. So yeah, if you don't know a whole lot of information, there's not a lot we can tell, obviously, but
Yeah.
that's
Well,
interesting
it's
to
tough
know.
these days. Yeah.
I didn't even know what that injury entailed or the location on the foot or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. So that makes a lot of sense now thinking because he is definitely an active quarterback. He's not just a
Yeah,
drop
for
and
sure.
pass. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
for
well,
sure.
fingers crossed for Kyler. Thank you again, Dr. Jason Leinen, for your medical expertise on all the things, especially Kyler's foot injury. Very interesting. Learned a lot of new information today on a Lizfranc injury and how that affects players, especially one like Kyler. So thanks again for joining us each week for the injury segment. Okay, I'm going to save the Sooner headlines of the week for the end of the show. I'm going to get you on to a little positivity, a little throwback with our guy Ryan Broyles. So to introduce him, Ryan played for the Sooners 2007 to 2011 and for the Detroit Lions 2012 through 2014. He's a two-time consensus All-American in 2010 and 2011. He's a first-team All Big 12 in 2010 and 2011 and a second-team All Big 12 in 2009. Ryan Broyles was selected by the Detroit Lions in the second round of the 2012 NFL Draft. He now works as a real estate developer in the Norman, Oklahoma area. He set the all-time NCAA football bowl subdivision record for career receptions. Also selected to play with the Dallas Renegades of the XFL in 2019, but he decided to retire before playing for the team, and we do discuss that in our interview as well. I also wanted to point out another fun fact about Ryan. On October 16th of 2010, in a 52-0 win over Iowa State, two Sooners broke major school records. Ryan was one of them. He notched a single game record 15 receptions for 182 yards and a touchdown. What a time that was to watch them on the field. So I hope you guys enjoy this awesome interview with Ryan Broyles. This was recorded right before football season started. And it's just another timely interview for us to throw in and give us a little nostalgia after that OU Texas game this past weekend. So I hope you guys enjoy my conversation with Ryan Broyles. I appreciate you giving me part of your time.
Not a problem.
It's football time, so I'm ready to talk to all the football people. So well, I don't know how far back you want to go, but let's just kind of talk about how you got started playing football and what started your love for the sport and what
Yeah.
got you all the way through the pros.
Yeah, so I guess we can go back to 8 years old. I started playing flag football and basketball at the Optimist here in Norman. I've got an older brother, sister, and a younger brother, and sports was a way of life for us, at
Yeah.
an early age. My father was from Chicago, so we had the Bears in the household. We had my mom was a Cowboys fan, so
Oh,
always wanted to be like either Emmitt Smith or any of those guys at the Bears.
absolutely.
And so really that's where it started. To be honest with you though, my first love was basketball. I always thought I'd be Kobe Bryant, but now I'm only 5'10". So football kind of made sense as I progressed through, I guess, my younger days.
Well, it worked out for you. So you grew up in Norman, so obviously that explains your love for OU football. So you played for Coach Stoops, and obviously he's someone that's highly revered in Sooner Nation. And I was actually in college when he came to OU. So when Coach Stoops came, of course, we all had a lot of high hopes for him, and he more than delivered, I feel like.
We did.
and is still obviously highly revered to Sooner Nation and his whole family with his boys. Like everybody is so loved by Sooner Nation. So what's some of your favorite memories with Coach Stoops and just maybe like the recruiting process? I don't know how all that worked back in your time, but just maybe some of your favorite memories with him and throughout the years that you played at OU.
Yeah, so I guess I could take you back to high school.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, OU was like one of my last offers.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I went into OU with the chip on my shoulder, and I think that kind of paid off. But
Absolutely.
I guess one of my earliest memories was during the recruiting process. Coach Stoops came and sat on my couch here in Norman. Met with me and my mother and my father. And he explained to us how things work. Said, hey, if you want to be on a championship winning team, come to OU. At that time, I had about 8, 9 different offers. He said, hey, you've seen what we've done in the past. I came out in 07. First year on the field was 08. So OU had their run early 2000s. 2004 and 5, and then when I got in, it was just after the Fiesta Bowl loss to Boise State.
Yes.
So I knew that they had potential. So he sat on the couch and said, hey, you got the opportunity. And I think one of his selling points, I was a big basketball player at the time. And a big thing for me was, hey, I want to play both ways. I want to play in football and I want to play basketball. So he did say, you know what, you can come over here and you can play some basketball too. Well, obviously, that did not work out. But that was one of my first memories with Coach Stoops. And then, you know, when I got to the university, just his poise and his confidence, and really his confidence in his offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators. You know, sometimes you can go on a team and the head coach wants to control everything. He trusted that he hired his guys well. He trusted that Joe C gave him, I guess, the funds to hire those guys, and he kind of let them do their thing. I was on the offensive side of the ball. Coach Stoops is a defensive guy, so sparingly he would come on to our side. But for the most part, he was a defensive guy. But I know he used to get fired up. I think one of my favorite memories or stories is just about every training camp. It was about guys just staying out of trouble. And so the story that I tell all the time during training camp, he talked about the etiquette when we're on the bus coming to and from football games. And he talked about PCP, which I have no idea, but this is how it went. If I catch any of you guys on the bus, the back of the bus, smoking that PCP, you're going to be playing at East Popcorn State. And so I swear he said that for 4 years in a row. I don't know what PCP was, but I know I didn't want to go to East Popcorn State either. But I think that still really made sense early on in a lot of our careers.
That's funny. That's a good story.
Yeah.
And he told that every year.
Every year, like clockwork. Yep. And you know, we're young guys and we can be knuckleheads, but he let us have fun for the most part. But he's like, hey, you're representing the university, you represent me and your coaches and your teammates. So you got to be professional. And I think we learned that pretty quickly being at OU. We saw guys come in and not make it too long for making mistakes. I was actually one of those guys that got in a bit of trouble early on, and coach believed in second chances. And I realized, hey, I can't live the life that I thought was normal. And I had to straighten up, especially if you got that OU logo on you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's one thing that a lot of people I've spoken to have mentioned to me is how wearing that OU logo on their jersey, on their shirt, just being a representative of our university means so much more than just being on the field. It's being out in the community and relating to all the fans. So yeah, everybody knows who you are, especially as football players. And so you definitely have a wide audience that's watching you, which is sometimes good and bad. Because nobody's perfect, but it has to be hard to kind of live under a microscope to an extent.
Well, yeah, we know what we're getting into. Maybe not as a freshman, but as you find yourself in the newspaper and on national television, and the neighbors know you, and in the classroom, you know what I mean. You start to feel like, hey, eyes are on you. So it becomes pretty normal pretty quickly.
Makes sense. Well, you had a couple of All-American honors and all Big 12 honors during your time at OU. So what's some of your favorite memories from games that you played in that were maybe big moments for you or just big moments for the team during your time at OU?
Yeah, so I've got a handful, but I've got to lead with this. You know, now that I'm 37 years old and I've been out of the game for 10 years, it's hard to replicate that team atmosphere. It's hard to replicate the grind and the grunt work and the bleeding and the being tied with your teammates and building together in the off season. It's hard to replicate, you know, just the lightheartedness in the locker room, being with the 100 or so guys just about every day, being with the receiver group. So that's one thing that really stands out to me. The game is the game, and I can get into that. But really, just being in the locker room with those guys, building those relationships. I think I've got. If it wasn't for all the time that we spent together, we play, 10, 11 games a year on the field, and that's where a lot of fans know us from. But we're together 365 days. And so a lot of our memories are going to be from off the field, working out in the classroom, training room, whatever it might be. So those are great memories of mine. I probably have more stories there than you could even imagine. But on the football side, yeah, so obviously we're here to talk a little football. On the football side, I would say the first game that I played versus Cincinnati, I was a redshirt freshman. The year before that, I was redshirted, so I didn't get to touch the field. Came out versus Cincinnati and had a great game. The first time I touched the field, I had a catch. The second play, I scored a touchdown. And I was thinking, wow, I guess I am made for this. So I built a lot of confidence that first game, and I got to carry that on throughout the year. And I think for the biggest thing that year was going into, we got to play in the national championship. And this was in 2008. Looking back on it, I took it for granted. We had such a great team across the board, offense, defense, had great coaches, coordinators. I swear we had the best package all the way around. And then we had the fans on our side as well. But that 2008 year was a very good year. Trying to think some of those memories that I had. I didn't have a lot of catches, but I did set a freshman record in receptions, and I think receiving yards and touchdowns that year. Had some great guys to be mentored by. Joaquin Iglesias, Malcolm Kelly before that, Manny Johnson. That's all at the receiver position. And obviously good work on the versus the DBs throughout the year. Going into 2009, I became more of like the guy, I guess you could say, at the receiver position. Andrew Jones stepped up and was our main quarterback that year after Sam went down again. I'm trying to think some of those memories. I don't want to be too selfish, man, but at the end of the day,
no, you're fine.
We played a lot of ball, and I've got a lot of memories. But it wouldn't, and I got to take my hat off to really the offensive coordinator and the quarterback and this might sound a little generic and even though line. I wouldn't be Ryan Broyles without those guys. I know what it looks like. Even in high school days, we didn't have linemen. I caught like 40 balls in my whole career. But then I get to OU, and we got Duke Robinson, we got Phil Loadhole, we got all kind of guys, right?
Yes.
So it made our life a lot easier. We got a quarterback a lot of time, and then we ever spread the ball around. But yeah, you can go to, I think, 2010, had a punt return versus Oklahoma State. I think that comes up just about every year.
Oh, yes.
Probably a punt I shouldn't have fielded, but hey, I was greedy, and it paid off. I had catches in the Fiesta Bowl, National Championship. I had a lot of catches. Let's say that. Had a lot of touchdowns. I think I lead the Big 12 still to this day. Touchdowns, receptions, and yards. Had a national record when I came out with the most receptions. So it's hard to remember them all. You put a highlight tape in front of me, I can tell you exactly what was going through my head, though.
Oh, I bet so.
Yeah, there's a lot of memories there.
I'm sure in some ways it feels like 5 minutes ago, and in other ways it feels like an entire lifetime ago.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. Sooner Nation makes it hard to forget. I feel like these videos like just about every year. And it even surprises me. I can walk around town and they hear my name. I'll just walk to, I'd be at a grocery store. I'd be at whatever it might be. Hey, what's your name? And so you look familiar. And I'm like, my name's Ryan. I never say my last name. Are you the Ryan Broyles? And I'm like, yeah. So I kind of have that whole conversation down now.
Well, Sooner Nation, they remember their football players, that's for sure. I remember last year, Casey had gone with me to a football game, and my seats are over there in the southwest corner. And you and your wife had come up, and I was like, is that Ryan Broyles? And then I had forgotten that Casey knew you guys. And so I was like, Casey, look. And she goes, that's Mary Beth. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So I have the selfie that I asked you to take with me that night, so I'll have to share it. But it's so funny because a lot of times I see people and I'm like, I think that's so-and-so, but I'm not sure. And so I don't want to look like a fool and embarrass myself.
Yeah, well, I've come to the point now where I can see a couple eyes where it's like, I think I know that guy. And so, I try to make light of the situation, and sometimes I say, you fan, just to break the ice. And I'm like, I thought it was, so I know what those stares look like.
Well, as a fan, I know that that's appreciated. I remember back in my college days, I saw Jason White at McAllister's Deli in Norman, and he was with some other guys. I don't even remember now if it was anybody on the team or just who knows. And I remember seeing him and thinking, I really want to say hi to him. But also I feel bad because like he's just a human, he's just a guy trying to go out to eat with his friends,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
probably gets tired of the constant spotlight. And so I didn't say anything to him that day. And sometimes I'm like, why not? And then other times I'm like,
yeah,
let them be, let them be. So I think I just try to go with my gut. It depends on what kind of atmosphere it is, and what kind of read I'm getting from them and what's going on
yeah.
around them. And I don't think that anybody really bothered him that day. I'm sure everybody was kind of
You
thinking the
probably
same
feel
thing.
like,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. I'll say this: if you catch any of us out and about, it's probably okay. When you get into the stadium, that's a
oh,
little different. The
absolutely.
one picture turns into 10, and you're with your family. But hey, I welcome it all, and we wouldn't be put on a pedestal without our fans at the end of the day. And I
That is
know some
true.
of the plays that we've made in our future, or I mean, in our past, that kind of sticks with the fans.
For
That
sure.
for a bright moment, whether it be one game day or many. And so
Absolutely.
we kind of realize, people think they're kind of bigger than life, but like you said, we're human just like y'all.
Uh-huh.
For sure. Yeah,
Right.
we're no different. Yeah. We just happen to run fast and we're on TV, I guess. Yeah.
That's true. That's so true. Well, it's funny. I'm thankful for all the opportunities that I've had to talk to people like yourself, and then Trey Millard, and I'm actually talking with Marcus Dupree.
Yeah.
And Marcus is one, I know he was short lived as a Sooner, but I was just a toddler when he played. But I grew up hearing his name. My dad was a huge OU fan. So I grew up hearing his name and stories about him and the Boz and all those players back in the day. And of course, Barry Switzer. And so it's kind of humbling on my end to get to sit here and talk to you guys, but I am reminded that you are just human, and but you're also like a superstar in a sense, and so it's kind of a catch 22.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Well, I'm looking forward to football season, and we're on the countdown now. At time that
Yeah,
we're
it's
recording this,
here.
we're 3 days out, and I've been counting down since it was 100 days out, as has most people.
Yeah.
But I'm ready. I'm ready. So, what are your thoughts for the season?
I think it's anybody's guess at this point. We got another quarterback. Feels like we got a new one just about every year
I
since the
know.
olden days. Yeah, but that's just the nature of the game now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it starts with the quarterback. Obviously, we got on the defensive end. We got a bunch of D linemen that are highly scouted and recruited. So I think that bodes well, especially in the SEC. Anytime
Absolutely.
you got a defense led by Brent Venables, you're going to be in good shape. As we've
Absolutely.
seen from the league days, we went from all offense to no defense. Now, as of late, we are all
Yes.
defense, no offense. So I think this year seems, at least the talk is there's going to be a little bit more balanced. It looks like the receiver room this year compared to last year, they're holding on. They're not as
Yes.
beat up.
Yes.
So obviously, you need that going to the SEC. So I think it's one of those deals. There's high hopes just about every year. We know it's not going to be easy. The SEC is a little bit different than the Big 12. We got to show up every week. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the SEC, they've got depth. They've got guys on their second, third string that can start just about anywhere.
They
And so I
do.
think the real question is, do we have the depth to make it through 6, 7, 8 games competitively?
I agree. I agree. And I think what you said about us all hoping that this year it looks like we have a little more balance on both sides of the ball. And yeah, fingers crossed. Here's hoping, because it's funny, like you said, I think about Lincoln Riley, and I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about his departure with Norman and everything, but I think we can all agree that he is one heck of an offensive mind. And I look back to his time at OU, and I wish that we would have had a Brent Venables caliber defense at the time, because I think, what could we have done? What maybe could have happened, but you just never know. You got to work with what you've got. So I'm excited
Yeah.
to see. I've always loved Coach Venables. I, followed him even when he left and went to Clemson.
Yes.
And I really respect him as a person, as a human, and what he's doing in the program on and off the field, which I think is very important. And I know it's really hard to think about that when you're not seeing what you want to see on the field. And obviously, as a football fan, I want my team to win. I want our guys to look good, stay healthy, and win football games. And when that's not happening, it's really hard to remember that there's a lot more to life than football. But I am excited for the season, and looking forward to seeing what our guys can do. And I think about some of our players that stuck out to everybody in the last couple of years that are now in the NFL, like Billy Bowman, Danny Stutzman, Ethan Downs, and of course we've got lots more from years past, but those are just the
Yeah.
recent ones. But just from your experience in the NFL, how does that compare to college? I mean, I know it's a completely different world, but what is happening, do you think, as far as Coach Venables preparing guys off the field? What's happening behind the scenes, do you think, to help maybe prepare them for that next step, whether it be NFL or the office or whatever life holds for them?
Yeah, well, you got to be a professional. You know, at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. Can you self motivate? In college, you've got your strength coaches, you got your class checkers, you got somebody weighing you in, things like that. When you get to the
True.
NFL, you're your own person. You got to find your own trainer for the most part in the off season. You got to stay out of trouble. You don't have a coach in your ear. In the receiver position, there's 6, 7 guys on the roster. There's 1,000 people ready to take your spot, right?
Oh, for
So you
sure.
got to
Yes.
come locked in and prepare. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I think you or a bigger university, they realize that. You know, they've got scouts that come in on a daily basis or call it a weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever it might be. And they're looking for professionals. You know, there's guys that have the intangibles, but can you self motivate? Can you watch film when no one's telling you to watch film? I think that's the biggest difference. Playing ball
Yes.
is playing ball. If you're on the 4-4 in college, you're probably going to run the same thing in the NFL. That's not the difference maker. The difference maker is what you're doing off the field, taking care of your body, being a student of the game, being a professional, and obviously becoming a leader on your team. And, you know, we've seen Brent Venables put all kind of guys in the NFL, really the University of Oklahoma. So
Yes.
I would say
Yes.
they do a good job at preparing guys for that next level.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Well, I love watching our guys at the next level in whatever capacity it may be. And of course, the internet has made things a lot more accessible than it used to be. And there's pros and cons, obviously, to that. But I love watching our guys at the next level. I went to Philly last season to see Jalen. I've been to see Baker in Cleveland and Tampa Bay. And I'm going out to Phoenix in November to see Kyler.
Very
So
nice. All around.
yes, I love it. Of course, I follow the Chiefs, and I have for years. So I'm very thankful to have so many Sooners on that team as well. And I'm not a Cowboys fan. I know that's not something people around here are used to hearing, but
Yeah.
I grew up. My dad taught me to say "Boo Dallas" at a very, very young age, and
Oh,
we only
wow.
watched. I know, right? We only watched the Cowboys because of Barry Switzer. Because my
Okay.
dad obviously loved Switzer. And so we watched because of him and all of their glory days during that time. But I've never been a Cowboys fan, but I have a CD shirt. It's blue.
Okay. There you
Says,
go.
yeah, it says something about CD. And so I have
Yeah.
a lot of shirts with different players' names on them. But it's funny because people will say, "Who's your NFL team?" And I'm like, well, I mean, I loved Tom Brady for years, so
Everybody. Yeah.
I was a Patriots fan, and then later the Bucks, and then that worked out for me because here came Baker, so I kept my Bucks gear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've of course of late the Chiefs have been super fun to watch, and
Yeah.
so again I'm thankful for all of our Sooners on that team, and the 49ers are another one that sticks out to me. But I love watching our guys all across the league. And so you were with the Lions, and that's actually a team that of late my husband and I have enjoyed watching, and we really liked Aiden Hutchinson. And so when he got hurt last year, we were very sad when that happened because he's fun to watch. But we love Dan Campbell and Jared Goff. Yes, so we've enjoyed watching them the last couple of seasons as well. But so who was your coach when you were at Detroit?
So I had 2 different coaches. We had Jim Schwartz was one of them.
Okay.
Then I've got another one. He's slipping my mind, which was a great coach. And I get this question all the time, like, come on, guys, do this. But I would say this. My time at the Lions, I played there 3 years. I had a new receiver coach every year. I had a new offense coordinator every year, and I had 2 different coaches out of 3 years. So there was a lot of turnaround. There was even one year where I had a receiver coach. He left, and a tight end coach moved to our position. So it was a lot of up and downs when I was there. So I drafted in 2012. I left after the 2015 season, and we were in a place of trying to figure it out. And that's what I tell people all the time. You know, at least at that time, I thought I was going from college and going a step up. which is kind of funny because the University of Oklahoma, now I do realize they were at the top of the top. When I went to the Lions, really the food was, I wouldn't say worse, but the cafeteria was worse, the locker room was worse, the equipment was worse. Everything kind of fell off. I'm not gonna lie to you. So not that I didn't have fond memories. I had a heck of a time out there. Loved my teammates. I love the city of Detroit. But all around football wise, it was a step down from OU, which, growing up as a kid and you're thinking the NFL is going to be it for you.
Yeah.
We signed that contract and I fly out and I'm like, wow, I think we went backwards a little bit. But, we put our time in and we've had a lot of athletes that came in and out of there. And I think we were a part of the reason, at least a small part of the reason that the Lions are doing what they're doing. The fan base was great. It was tough going when we were there. Now they've turned it around. Hopefully they can sustain that with some of the players that they brought in.
Yes.
So it's definitely exciting to see. Being a Lions fan, I get to see those guys show up every week. It's pretty special to see.
I love that. That's so cool. Well, I've never been to Detroit, and Ford Field seems like a really neat place to play. So we'll have to put that on our list for sure. Once we hit a couple more OU-based cities. My husband's actually an OSU grad, and so he spends a lot of his Saturdays in Stillwater, which is fine. I go with him when I can. Yeah. Anyway, he just loves sports, and so we try to make our rounds. And of course, I'm a little heavy-handed on the travel plans to my OU guys, but we'll have to add Detroit to our list for sure.
Detroit's a good city. Yeah, when people come out there, I still go back once a year. They got Motown out there. They got Michael Jackson's Diamond Gloves out there in Detroit.
Yes.
They got the Ford Museum, which is very neat. You can see the old president's cars and whatnot.
Cool.
So there's definitely things to see out there.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
And if you're an Eminem fan, you can go to 8 Mile out there too, So they got some landmarks.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to.
You're not going to find better weather in the fall time either. The trees start changing colors and it's crisp air, and Christmas is it's a good place. It is. It's a really neat place.
Okay, good to know. I'll have to put that on my list.
Yeah.
So I know, too, that you were on the practice squad with Coach Stoops with the Renegades for a brief while. So I didn't know if you had really much to talk about since you weren't there super long, or if you had anything to share regarding that.
So I got an itch. I think this was 2 or 3 years after I retired from the NFL, and I had a old coach by the name of Jarrell Jackson. He actually played at OU in the early 2000s. He was my middle school coach at Alcott Middle School. Then he fast forward many years later, about 3 years after I left the NFL, Coach Jarrell calls me and says, "Hey, I'm about to be the receiver coach with Coach Stoops, the Renegades. Do you want to play?" And I'm on vacation, and I'm like, "Oh, shoot, this might be it." Right? So he was like, "Yeah, Landry Jones is back on board." So I know I left the beach, and I went to the room, and I called Landry. I was like, "Hey, is this serious?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm about to do it." So I go back outside to the beach, and I start doing some footwork drills, and I'm like, "You know what? I got this in me." So make it back to the States. And I worked out with them a few times. And then I got drafted, but I never made it out. So I got drafted. This is my little boy Silas here. So I made it back out. I got drafted by the Renegades, but I did not make it to the facility. I did not even make it in. We were through the negotiations and things like that. And, I looked at the schedule and looked at some of the offerings, and I was like, you know what? It might not be a good fit for me. So I actually never made it there. But I did stay locked in, and it's good to see that they got another league for other guys still trying to play and be a kid still.
Yeah, I try to follow them, of course, on social media. It's easy to do. I've never gone to a game, and I'm kind of ashamed to say that since I love Coach Stoops so much, but I'm a big softball girl, and the seasons kind of overlap a little bit too much, and it's kind of difficult to make it to all the places. So I haven't ever made it down there, but I do hope to sometime, and I enjoy watching it. I mean, I love football, and just an opportunity for some of those guys to get a chance to play. I think it's great. And Coach Stoops has had a pretty good run down there, and he's fun to watch. So I like to support them when I can. Yeah. Anything else you want to bring up or talk about before I hang up with you?
I'd say this has been a pleasant time. It's always good to reminisce and talk about the good old days,
Absolutely.
Once is sooner, always is sooner. I will say this, as I've aged a little bit, it actually gets sweeter with time.
I love that.
So it's always good to hop on and talk a little football.
I love that. Well, thank you. One thing I did think about real quick, I wanted to mention, you mentioned Malcolm Kelly a little bit ago, and
Yeah,
I love Malcolm Kelly. One thing that always sticks out to me about him is his rap, of course.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it actually popped up on social media just a couple of days ago. I
I
saw it
saw it
going
too.
around. I watch it every time I see it. I will never not watch that. So, and last year they were playing it on the video board in the stadium, and I'm
So
here
neat.
for it. I mean, what was that, 20 years ago almost?
Had to do it. It was before I got there. Hey, just to
Yeah.
piggyback on Kelly Dale, and if there's any athletes that are still playing today, having a mentor is huge. I remember walking off the practice field in 2007 when I was a redshirt freshman, and Malcolm looked at me in the eyes and he said, "You're next." And this is before I played one down at OU. And when he said that, I will never forget. I was thinking, is he serious? But he must have seen something, right? And that gave me a bit more confidence. So, yeah, for any of you athletes that are still playing, your words mean a lot to some younger guys.
That's awesome.
It's pretty neat. Pretty neat.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you, Ryan, so much for giving me part of your time. I cannot thank you enough. It means so much.
Oh, yeah. Well, I enjoyed it for sure.
Thank you again, Ryan, for joining me on the podcast. I'm truly grateful to have had that conversation with you. Ryan is just so kind. He's such a friendly guy. I met him in person at a football game last fall. I will be showing that photo on social media this week, but he is just so kind, such a happy, upbeat guy. And I'm just so thankful he took the time to come on the podcast. I truly do appreciate you, Ryan. And Boomer Sooner always. Okay, on to this week's Sooner headlines for the week. I am going to save the quote best for last with the football game. OU Texas rivalry. We're going to go ahead and talk about a few other sports that have some things going on this week as well. Our women's basketball, the full schedule was released just this past week. All their non-conference games and conference games. They've got a great slate coming to Lloyd Noble Center this coming season. And they open up at home on October 29th against Oklahoma Christian. It's an exhibition game, so it is free. But please get out and support these girls. I recently spoke with Peyton Verhulst and Beatrice Colleton, two of our awesome players who have been with the team for several years, and they're coming back this year for their final season. And they are just super amazing girls. They spoke nothing but good things, of course, about Coach Jenny, all of their teammates, and they are so looking forward to the season. So please, please, please get out and support our women's basketball. We've got coming to Norman this season Kim Mulkey and the LSU squad, Dawn Staley and the South Carolina squad. We've also got the ACC SEC matchup in December. NC State is coming to Lloyd Noble. That will be another big game, and several other big teams as well. Texas is on the road this year, but so many great opportunities to see our basketball squads this coming winter. And I do want to point out, if you haven't gotten your tickets yet for Bedlam, it's a doubleheader on Saturday, December 12th at Paycom. It's the men's game. They tip off at noon, followed by the women's game at 3 p.m. You will not want to miss that. One ticket gets you into both games. Super great opportunity to see both of our squads in December. And then going forward, again, our men's basketball schedule, it's also out as well. There are ticket packages available. I myself were able to purchase a mini pack. You get to select 5 to 6 games on both. The men's have a package and the women's have a package. You can select those games that you can attend and get out and support the squads. Very, very reasonable priced. Just such a fantastic way to make some home games. If you can't commit to a full season, there's still lots of options. Our men's team did have a secret scrimmage this past week against Texas Tech, and we did beat them. The final score was 89-87. That's from the Twitter Underground. I have spoken to a couple of insiders, and they're not allowed to speak about the scrimmages. They're not allowed to talk about anything that they saw there. But I think that it's very promising to know that our squad looks good and got that win over Texas Tech there in our secret scrimmage that they hosted this past week. So get out on Soonersports.com or on their social media, check out those schedules, and find a time to get out and support those squads. Women's gymnastics, their schedule was just released as well. They've got lots of great home contests coming up, so you'll want to get out and support them as well. You can find their schedule online. Tickets are not on sale yet unless you want season tickets, but the single meet tickets will be on sale in the next couple of months. Our fall softball team is rolling. They had a big win in 10 innings at East Texas A&M University last Wednesday, and they have a home game this Wednesday, the day that this episode drops, on Wednesday the 15th at 6:30 p.m. So if you're listening to this the day that it drops and you're around, you can hop on over to Love's Field in Norman. $10 gets you a general admission ticket to the fall game, and I will be there. I'd love to meet you, so give me a holler if you're going to be there. Our soccer team is rolling on through the season. Our defensive player of the week for the SEC week 8, Caroline Duffy, so shout out to her. Our squad has a 9-3-3 overall record after a tie with Tennessee at home last week. They are on the road at Auburn this coming Thursday, and they will be back home next Sunday on October 19th for Texas. Horns down always. A senior day for the squad that day. I will be there. It's at 2 p.m. on Sunday the 19th. I'd love to see you, so give me a holler if you're going to be there. Free admission for home soccer games, so get out and support that squad this season. On to wrestling. Shout out to Mike Leitner on his induction into the Oklahoma chapter of the Hall of Fame for his Lifetime Service Award for wrestling. He spent 14 years coaching at OU, and before that, he won the 2001 national title at 141 pounds, and he was a 4-time All-American at OU. So shout out to Mike for that amazing accomplishment, and Sooner Nation is so proud to support you. Also, shout out to our volleyball girls. I got to attend my very first volleyball game ever this past Friday night. It was Fan Appreciation Night versus South Carolina at home in McCaslin Fieldhouse, and it was incredible. Again, this is my second time to attend a sporting event for the first time this season. I attended my very first hockey game earlier this fall, and now I've attended my very first volleyball game. It was incredible. I got to meet sweet Sydney Thompson after the game. I was connected with her through Lydia Martin, who I hosted on the podcast this summer. If you missed her episode as a volleyball fan, you'll definitely want to go back and check it out. Lydia graduated from OU in December, and now she plays pro for the Indy Ignite. She told me to reach out to Sydney. I was able to connect with her, meet up with her after the game. I posted a photo with her on social media, but I'm going to be hosting her on the podcast here pretty soon, and you won't want to miss that one. I can't wait to sit down and chat with her. But our volleyball team is so much fun to watch. It is very fast paced, moves quick. The girls are hardcore. You watch them spike that ball, serve that ball. It's just incredible. I want to do a shout out to Alexis Shelton for being the SEC Offensive Player of the Week last week. And also just our program as a whole broke a lot of records. They broke 2 records. Last Sunday at home, they had 76 kills, 72 assists, and a .401 hitting percentage. And that's just incredible to watch these girls. They are truly hard workers, and to see it paying off and them getting this recognition and winning matches is so much fun. They have a 12-4 record overall. On Friday night, they won against South Carolina 3-1. Again, Alexis Shelton, just incredible, powered the offense with 17 kills, and their blocking is just incredible and truly fun to watch. Takoa Barnes tallied 7 kills, including the game winner, 2 aces and 3 blocks. Kelly Jo Burgess, man, that girl is so much fun to watch. Again, she had 3 solo blocks and 9 kills. Imani Bush tied her career high with 6 blocks and added 6 digs. That team is just, again, so much fun to watch, and I highly encourage you to get out and support them if you get a chance this season. They did host a game also this past Sunday against Georgia at home. Unfortunately, they lost 3-1, but they will face number 9 Texas A&M Friday night in College Station on the road. So you can check that out on SEC Network Plus on your ESPN app. And I hope that you can get out and support them this season. They are such a fun team to watch with a lot of high hopes for the postseason. For tennis, our women are on the road this week to Macon, Georgia, the 13th through the 19th. And also they will be back home in Norman October 16th through 20th to host the ITA Central Regional Championship. So best of luck to all of our Sooners this week as they compete across the country. And our men hosted the ITA Central region this past week. We had several who qualified for NCAA singles, region co-champ Oscar Lacetis and co-champ Luis Alvarez. Also, our doubles qualifying region champs were Johan Rodriguez and Oriol Camille. So shout out to those guys. They are on the road to Lincoln, Nebraska this week for the ATP Challenger in Lincoln. So best of luck to our tennis Sooners on the road across the nation this week. Track and field have an event coming up for cross country this week. Our girls will travel to College Station for the annual Arturo Barrios Invitational, and our men to Princeton, New Jersey for the Princeton Fall Classic this coming Friday on October 17th. So best of luck to them as well. Our golf men are on the road this coming week to the Williams Cup Eagle Point Golf Club in Wilmington, North Carolina, October 19th and 20th. So best of luck to them as they compete this week. And our women have been doing exceptional. They've had 2 top 5 finishes from Savannah Barber and Reagan Cheney, who was on the podcast earlier this spring. So if you're a golf fan, you'll want to rewind back to April and check out my conversation with Reagan. But the women's golf team has placed 6th at the University of Oklahoma Intercollegiate presented by PDI last week on Tuesday. And they are on the road to Tulsa this coming week, the 13th and 14th, to the Dale McNamara Invitational at Cedar Ridge in Tulsa. So good luck to them. I also want to throw out that I do mention and try to support as best as I can and share all the information about our club sports as I see that information on my Twitter account and my Facebook, Instagram stories. Again, I'm at Sooner Girl Pod on all the platforms. So please give me a follow and follow all of our club sports. We have hockey, we have women's wrestling, rugby, lacrosse, and there's lots of club sports. So get out and support those kids. They're just a lot of fun to watch. They put in a lot of work to represent our university. And I try, again, to support and share their information as I come across it. So you can find all of their information on social media. Unfortunately, the club sports are not listed on Soonersports.com, but again, on social media, find their accounts and give them a follow and support them as you can. A shout out to our men's hockey team. I know I mentioned them earlier. I did get out to see a home game, Bedlam, earlier this season. They play in Edmond at the Arctic Ice Arena. Again, so much fun to watch. Just an incredible team, high intensity, super fun to watch. So get out and support them when you get a chance. On to football, but before we get on into the OU Texas game, I want to give a quick shout out to some of our NFL Sooners. As I'm recording this, Billy Bowman and the Falcons play on Monday Night Football, so I don't have a recap on him yet. But shout out to Danny Stutzman. Danny boy, wearing your shirt today. I was just feeling the mood. Should have worn it last week going into OU Texas, but I was just really feeling it today. But he's got a lot of runs with the first team defense with the Saints. So shout out to Danny. I hope that you continue to show out and prove your worth to that organization. Sooner Nation is definitely rooting for you. So as Dr. Jason Leinen and I discussed, Kyler Murray is out with the Cardinals from a Lizfranc foot injury. We're not sure of a lot of details on the intensity of that injury, so we're hoping it's nothing serious and he will be back sooner rather than later. He has just had a rough go with a lot of injuries in like recent years, so I really hope that he's quick to recover from this one. Jalen Hurts, he's my fantasy quarterback. The Eagles did lose this past week on Thursday Night Football against the Giants, but Jalen balled out and had a decent night, so shout out to Jalen. I'm always following our Sooner guys. And I would be remiss without mentioning our favorite Baker Mayfield, who is literally balling out. MVP conversation for our favorite Sooner, Baker Mayfield in the box. And Baker is playing without most of his starters. I think his first, second, third, maybe even fourth wide receivers are out. Several running backs are out, O-line out, guards, tackle. Like, it's just insane. Like, I cannot imagine how well they would be doing if all of these starters were in place. And I truly hate it. They were so close to beating the Eagles in Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago. That's their only loss. Then the Eagles and Jalen turned around and have lost 2 in a row after that. So it really pains me to think that Baker and them gave up that loss. But what a game that was to watch. But Baker was incredible yesterday against the 49ers in Tampa Bay. He was 17 of 23, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Through 6 games, y'all, Baker has 12 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 1539 passing yards, and a 5-1 record. And that, again, is with literally almost all of the starters out on injury. It's just insane. So, Baker, keep balling out, dude, doing what we know that you can do and showing the world, putting them all on notice on that MVP race. Anybody that doesn't have him in that MVP conversation right now is literally insane. Everyone's talking about it. So fingers crossed that the Bucs continue to have an exceptional season. They recover from their injuries and make a Super Bowl run deep into the playoffs. Okay, on to our Sooner football squad. Shout out to Tate Sandell, who was the SEC Team's Player of the Week last week and the Lou Garza Star of the Week award after he went 3 for 3 with 49, 39, and 55 yards against Kent State. The 55-yard second quarter field goal, made the 4th longest field goal ever made at Gaylord Family Stadium. Sandell was 9 of 10 field goals, 18 for 18 point after kicks so far this season. That was after the Kent State game. But he actually did very well. All of our points came from him in Dallas this past weekend against Texas. So again, shout out to Tate Sandell for really showing out. He is one steady constant that we can count on this football season, and I am so thankful for that. Again, in our loss to Texas, he scored the only points that we had on the board. So shout out to Tate Sandell. After our loss at the Red River Rivalry, we have fallen to 14 in the AP poll. All week long, what we said was going to happen is exactly what happened on Saturday. We were just afraid that Texas was pissed after getting their butt kicked in the swamp the weekend before. They came in knowing that they had to play their best football. They wanted to play their best football to beat us, and that's exactly what they did. You came in, our defense, knowing that we're literally number one in the nation in nearly every category. We looked like the way better team on paper, but not on the field on Saturday. We pretty much got outplayed all across the board. In my opinion, it was not fun to watch. I did mention this with Dr. Jason Leinen in the injury segment, but I listened to Gabe and Teddy talking about the game, breaking down all the plays. And I have to say, at first, I didn't realize how good the defense did play on Saturday. I do think the defense played well enough for us to have won that game against Texas, but unfortunately our offense just couldn't get it done. And even our special teams had some blunders. It was just really overall crazy. But our defense, again, I do think that they did play well enough to win the game. There were some missed tackles. However, there also were some missed calls in the back that we just missed those. The refs missed those flags. We didn't get them thrown, and that did not go to our advantage. It's just super disappointing to think that we have a kicker like that, a defense like that, and we know what our quarterback is capable of. He was a little off. Again, Dr. Jason Leinen and I talked about the mental aspect of how that possibly affected him, just knowing he has that injury, trying to protect that hand like subconsciously. Maybe that protected or affected him. Mateer did himself say, I was ready physically, but not mentally. So I'm not sure exactly what he meant by that. But again, Dr. Jason and I did discuss possibly what was meant by that comment. But Texas rose to the occasion. My question is, why did Oklahoma not rise to the occasion? Why did we not just play consistently like we have been the previous 5 games? If we had just maintained that level, I think that we truly could have beat Texas. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. But in my opinion, no one really has a whole lot of room to say anything at this point in the season. Texas still has a long way to go to prove themselves for the season. Now, of course, Arch Manning isn't a bust like everybody thought that he was. I mean, it was funny to joke about, but I seriously was beginning to wonder, like, what's going on with this? You know, I feel like there's more to the story. Well, he balled out on Saturday. He was the better quarterback on the field on Saturday. He's the one that looked like a Heisman candidate on Saturday. Now, he hasn't looked like that in this season before then. So how he plays for the rest of the season, time will tell. But that is what will be important for Texas. If they can continue to play to the caliber that they played this past Saturday, then they're going to recover very well from their 2 losses against Ohio State and Florida. And they're going to have a great season. And same goes for OU. If we're able to recover from whatever the heck that was on Saturday and get our stuff together, get back on the road and regroup, then we also can recover from our 1 loss so far and have a great season. The season is far from over. We're still in the picture for a lot of great things to come. But we got to regroup, and we got to regroup fast because we have 6 games to go. 5 of them are against ranked teams in the top 16, and 2 of those are on the road. So the only game that we have left against an unranked team, even though it is still on the road, is South Carolina. That is this coming Saturday. It is 11:45 Central kickoff time for that one. But we have got to win this game on the road against South Carolina. They are by far the easier, quote, team that we will face from here on out. And I say that very loosely because, again, it's going to be a road environment for us. And Lenore Sellers, their quarterback, is incredible. He is so fun to watch. If you haven't got to watch that team, you know, overall, I wouldn't go as far as to say that I'm impressed with the team as a whole. But Shane Beamer, head coach, you know, former Sooner, he knows what he's doing. And that quarterback's incredible. And our defense, I'm hoping, can eat him up. But we've got a lot of challenges ahead of us. And getting a win on the road at South Carolina is a great way to get ahead of that and make a good start going forward, because we again have got a long season ahead of us. Our O-line is getting eat up and they're just dropping like flies. Again, talked with Dr. Leinen about the loss of Derek Simmons and just the impact that that's had on us on the line, and just we don't have a lot of depth left there and we're really running thin. So we do not have a lot of leeway on the O-line. We have got to figure some things out there. Our run game needs to get going. We never made it to the red zone on Saturday. Why have we not been able to score a touchdown in Dallas for 2 years? The last touchdown that we scored in Dallas was in 2023. It was the Dylan Gabriel drive in the last minute to throw that touchdown pass to Nick Anderson, score in the back corner of the end zone. I was right in front of that when that happened. I can't believe that's the last touchdown we scored in Dallas. That is not okay. We have got to figure this out. As Gabe and Teddy talked about on their podcast, this is probably the least talented or quote worst Texas team that we're going to see for a while, because they've got a lot of players that are developing, a lot of recruits coming in, just a lot of things going forward. Like, we're not going to get another opportunity to have a quote easier time to beat Texas than the one we just blew. So that's concerning. But yeah, John Mateer, he had 3 picks, almost 4. A backward pass that should have been a fumble. He was sacked 5 times. We only had 1 sack on Arch. He got sacked 6 times in the Swamp the week before. We sacked Jackson Arnold 10 times in Norman just a few weeks ago. I was hoping to do that to Arch Manning. We did not. We only got 1 sack on Arch. Mateer was just straight up not good. I don't know. We're hoping it's due to his injury. Again, a lot of the mental aspect of that, just not quite sure. The offense as a whole just hasn't been great. Again, I know we could talk on and on about the tight ends, but it's just very obvious that if Mateer is not on, if he's not 100%, we've got nothing. And we've got to figure out how to run the ball and how to keep that going. And again, let me just say this about Michael Hawkins. I had all the faith in the world in him going into the game. Even if he had played, I felt really good going into the Red River Rivalry. I can't sit here and go, well, what if he played, or should he have played, or whatever. Those are not my decisions to make. But the facts are facts. I don't know that John Mateer was ready, regardless of whether it was physically or mentally. Don't think he was quite ready for that game. I know he wanted to play in it. He's a Texas kid. He's from DFW area. He wanted to play in that game. He wanted to win that game. But for whatever reason, just didn't have it in him that day. But my friend Travis Davison, he posted a video on Sunday before his drive home talking about how we just have got to have more well-rounded players that can fulfill the job and do the full job of the position that they're playing. Again, Gabe and Teddy reiterated that, just talking about how our offense is playing scared. They're not aggressive. They're not fulfilling their full roles in their positions that they're playing. They just ran wrong plays, wrong routes, ran away from the ball. They weren't attacking. And it's just crazy. Like, we need to find people to fulfill those positions. Like, we have a good receiving tight end, but he's not good at tackling. And then we have a good tackling tight end, but he's not good at receiving, running the ball. So it's just like we don't have those full complementary players, and we've got to get that figured out on the offensive side, or it's just going to kick our tail. But Texas scored 22 points on us in the second half. Not cool. I still can't believe it that we came out after half and just fell apart, basically. So Venables talked about the middle 8, which is the last 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. We blew it. He was talking about the importance of the middle 8, and very much so, it bit us in the butt this past weekend for sure. That last 4 minutes of the first half, not sure what was happening with that. We couldn't get our plays in. It was terrible clock management. We should have at least scored a field goal, could have scored a touchdown, would have changed the whole momentum of the game, I believe. Going in at half, I believe we felt defeated. Even though we were ahead on the scoreboard, it was a very small lead, of course, and then we didn't feel it. We didn't feel the lead. And then again, coming back after half, they come out, return that punt return. And again, I think there were some missed blocks in the back, but that's neither here nor there. We totally blew that. Where was our blocking on that ourselves? But the momentum there in that middle 8 was not in our favor. And it cost us the game, honestly, if in my opinion. That's totally what happened. But Venables has coached 4 OU Texas games, and we haven't scored a touchdown at all in 3 of them. And again, like I said, the last touchdown we scored was the Nick Six in the back of the end zone with the Dylan Gabriel drive 2 years ago. But it's just crazy. I just can't wrap my brain around it. As somebody who's been going to OU Texas since I was 8 years old, I've seen a lot of games. I have sat there during the shutout, which was one of the worst experiences of my life. I was there during the 63-14 win back in 2000, and that was one of the best experiences of my life. I've been to all sorts of games in between. But it's just important, I think, maybe I'm trying to think here on the positive. We did have 2 freshmen that recorded stats on Saturday, only 2. I'm hoping that we can build off of that going forward with our running back, Torrey Blaylock. He continues to do whatever he's asked to do. Just a couple games in, I was thinking that he was possibly going to be one of our 1,000-yard rushers for the season. Unfortunately, the last few games, he hasn't really gotten a lot of opportunity to get a lot of yards, but when he's asked to get them, he gets them. So maybe we should ask more of him. We need to get the run game going. Why can we not ask more of the running backs? We did have, again, our one lone sack. Shout out to RMT for getting that sack for us. George Storia put out an article on Sunday afternoon that was really interesting to read, and I just wanted to point out a few things that he said on the Sooner Scoop article that he wrote, things that he knows about OU after that Texas loss. Mateer should come back next year, 1,000%. I do think this injury has affected him, perhaps his Heisman race, obviously, this game, and then our team going forward. I think him coming back would be a huge hit for us in a lot of areas. Definitely think that needs to be done. Arbuckle might need to go full air raid. Okay, this is not the only person I have seen point this out. My friends Jeremy and Goss on the Soonercast podcast also talked about this. Gabe and Teddy have talked about this. Maybe we do. I don't know, but we definitely need to figure out some things on the offensive side. The O-line is not getting any better. Again, reiterating that. Derek Simmons going down, not a good sign. Don't have a lot of depth. Arch Manning looked good. Talked about that. Everything is still in front of this team. That is so true. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, shout out Drew, at church on Sunday, and we talked about how we could see this team losing all of the next 6 games or winning all of the next 6 games that we have left in front of us. And that's truly how I feel. I could see it going either way, and it all depends on how we respond as we go on the road to South Carolina this coming week. Everything is ahead of them, but we have got to get our stuff together and react, pull ourselves together, and just get it together before we go to South Carolina and get back on track. The season is far from over, but again, I'd just like to mention that we have 6 games left. 5 of those games are against ranked teams. 2 of those are on the road. We've got to win this road game against South Carolina this coming Saturday, and we need to win all of our remaining home games to get where we need to be this season. That's really all we've got to do. It's a tall task. We've got LSU coming to Norman. Missouri comes to Norman. We have some animosity with them. Ole Miss, all top 10 teams coming to Norman. Just in 2 weeks, Ole Miss will be there. So we don't have a lot of time to play around. We do have another bye week after we go to Tennessee November 1st. We have a bye week on the 8th. We've got to use that time wisely to recuperate, recover, and prepare for the last couple games of the season, because it is just going to be a rough road for us going forward. I did want to give a shout out though, Texas player Trey Wisner. I just felt like we couldn't stop him. They ran 27 plays versus our 4 plays in the third quarter. I feel like he was a part of just about all of them. It was just insane. I don't know how he was able to run all over us, but I wish that we had a player that could run all over other teams the way that he did us. It was just very discouraging to watch. Again, people ask me how I'm doing, and I was oddly in a weird place on Saturday. Like, I wasn't super mad. Usually want to throw stuff. But on Saturday, I said I sound like a mom when I say I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. And I really felt like that truly encapsulates how I felt about the game, because I truly was disappointed. And I'm not necessarily mad at Mateer. He has been through a lot in the last few weeks. But I'm just disappointed that our offense did not get anything going against Texas, did not hit the end zone for the second straight Red River Rivalry, the 3rd out of the last 4. I'm just very sad that we couldn't get it going. We were the better team going into that game on paper, on the field. We were. We had all the advantages. I never understood, I talked about this last week, how they were favored over us. And then they went out and prove to everybody why that they were. And I really do hate that. So fingers crossed that our team is able to regroup. Again, they've got to regroup quickly. We're on the road to South Carolina, 11:45 a.m. kickoff in Columbia this coming Saturday. It's on the SEC Network Plus. So fingers crossed that they get regrouped and get it back together soon. We have Ole Miss at home the following week on the 25th. It's 11 a.m. kickoff. So those morning kickoffs, here we come. Okay, for my Sooner MVP of the week, I'm going to give it to our guy Tate Sandell. Again, he got all of our points that we had in Dallas this past weekend. I would be remiss not to give him a shout out and a thanks for that. And so to end this week with a Sooner fun fact of the week. Before becoming the head women's soccer coach at Oklahoma, Coach Matt Mott led Mississippi to 6 NCAA tournament appearances, including 2 Sweet 16 appearances in 13 years as the Rebels head coach. He also collected 139 wins. So shout out to my friend, Coach Matt Mott. He is an incredible guy of our women's soccer team. Again, they have their senior day this coming Sunday at home on the 19th against Texas. Horns down always. You got another chance to throw horns down and beat Texas. Let's have a day, free admission. So shout out again to Coach Mott and Hadley Morrell. I hosted them on the podcast this summer, so go back and give that one a listen, and I hope to see you at the pitch on Sunday afternoon. So thank you again to everyone for all of your support. I truly appreciate everyone who listens to the podcast and follows me on social media. If you do not follow me, you can do so on all social media platforms at Sooner Girl Pod. I hope that you will go and download, follow, subscribe, share with a friend, and leave me a nice review on all of the platforms. If you need some shirts, hoodies, it's almost hoodie season. I promise it's coming eventually. You can go to soonergirl.bigcartel.com and get loaded up and send me a photo of you with your merch. Also, be sure you subscribe on Substack. I send out a monthly newsletter called The Playbook, and it's basically the month in review. It's a recap on all the episodes, all the fun stuff you may have missed on social media, and just everything regarding Sooner Girl Sports Pod in one place. And so that's a great way to get all of your information and make sure you're up to date on all the things. And you can sign up. Everything is my link in bio, my link tree. You can find everything linked there. My locker room girls, we've had a couple of meetups in person here recently before a volleyball game and before a football game a few weeks ago as well. I'm doing an online huddle with my friend Travis Davison from KREF Radio to do a Red River Rivalry review. So shout out to my friend Travis. Thank you again for joining us for that. And you won't want to miss all the fun stuff we have coming up with the locker room. You can find out more information on that as well on my link tree, which again is my link in bio, and everything I've talked about is linked there. So I hope you all have a great week. Let's go on the road and beat South Carolina. And I will talk to you next Wednesday where we talk sports.